this meeting to order. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. Another installment of the Health and Educational Facilities Board. We got quite a bit on our agenda to cover today. The public notice was posted in the Tennessean and on our website. So let's, in terms of the meeting minutes, board members, everyone was sent that out to review. Any comments, modifications, or motion to move forward?
Our discussion of legal counsel was to be number one on today's agenda, and it was only to be limited to 17 minutes, and that didn't make it into the minutes, and that's okay.
Okay.
Life goes on, so I'm not going to move to a change, but...
Okay, but we'll note that for...
Yeah, just, being a whatever, stick with it.
And it's on our...
No big deal.
It's on old business.
I move approval of the minutes.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's properly moved and second. We approve the meeting minutes. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those that oppose. All right, so our first preliminary approval for consideration is Urban Flats. Anyone here to represent Urban Flats?
Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm Kelsey Osmond. I'm with Urban Housing Solutions. This project probably looks familiar. It's been here a couple times before, so happy to give a recap if that's helpful.
Yeah, if you don't mind, just a brief recap.
Yeah. So this is the first phase of a redevelopment of a 4-acre site just south of downtown on Murfreesboro Pike. Our organization actually started here and has owned it for over 30 years. So it's time for kind of a new vision for that site. So this project is 138 units. It'll be an income averaged 4% bond deal with CITC, and it does have a Barnes grant dedicated to it from our local housing trust fund. It's also the second part of a RAD conversion, so 40 of the 138 units will be project-based rental assistance supported, so serving folks who are coming directly from homelessness through the coordinated entry system.
Gotcha. Okay, so just a certain percentage will be, you said how many units? 4?
Yeah, so 138 total.
Okay.
That'll all be between 40% and 80% AMI.
Okay.
But 40 of those 138 will be at that 40% AMI, and we'll have that project-based rental assistance.
So 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom?
It's a mix of 1s, 2s, and 3s.
Okay.
All of those project-based rental assistance units are 1 bedrooms.
Okay. What's currently on the site?
So it was a 1960s vintage motor court motel that was converted to permanent supportive housing in 1991. We've continued to operate it that way since, but the buildings and infrastructure are in desperate need of, again, kind of redevelopment, reinventioning. So we are currently building an off-site relocation project that will accommodate 70 of the residents who will move to that new building. It'll be done in June. We'll do some internal relocation to clear up the back half of the site, and that's where we'll start the redevelopment process.
Gotcha. All right, so some folks will be moved off-site, some will be kind of shuffled around internally as units become available.
Yeah.
Okay.
You mentioned that this has been approved before. What is the amendment aspect of this? I'm sorry if I missed that.
It's for an additional allocation. So we had originally requested $22 million. We then applied to THDA for $21 million, and we're asking for the additional to get us up to $26 million for a 2023 application.
What drives that change?
Increased construction costs.
Which we've seen quite a bit of lately.
What do you need to move to public? I'll move anything you'd like.
Yeah, sure. Well, I was just getting a question. Any questions on your behalf? Okay, all right. Well, seeing that this is for preliminary approval, we need to have a public hearing. So at this time, I'll open up a public hearing on this proposal. Anyone here to speak for or against the Urban Flats project? All right, no one here to speak.
Move approval.
Yep. So is there a second? All right, so move. All right, so it's been properly moved and seconded that we accept this for preliminary approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All that oppose? No. Okay, thank you. Okay, second up is Joseph Avenue Partners preliminary approval. We have a representative here.
Hello, hello.
How's it going?
Good to see you all again. Evan Holiday with Holiday Ventures. Joseph Avenue Partners is really, I think, really this is the majority of the affordable portion of the River Chase redevelopment. Holiday Ventures was selected by the master developer and their team, both community members and their development partners, to really implement the affordable portion of River Chase. Really, the majority of it, I should say. So we will be building on basically the northeast portion of the site. It will be 140 units over 2 buildings. It'll be about 2.96 acres. And I think really the unique thing, and we're stepping into this, having, this has already been negotiated with the community, with Urban League of Middle Tennessee as the community benefits agreement moderator. And so we're stepping into, and we're ultimately going to be the ones responsible for implementing that. And so we will be doing 140 units affordable, studios, 1s, 2s, and 3s, so a wide variety of unit mix, unit types, also a wide variety of income levels. So we'll really truly be doing a mixed income community. Within our units specifically, we will be doing 40, 60, and 80% AMI units spread across the studios through 3 bedrooms.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure. It's 40, 60, and 80% AMI, and then studios through 3 bedrooms. And I can get you the specific unit mix or breakdown if you'd like. But I think, so they will also, they being Korea, they're the master developers of the entire development. I think they decided, they're like, hey, we don't know how to do affordable. We'd like to figure out a partner who knows what they're doing, who is an expert in this ability to creatively finance affordable housing and implement affordable housing and do it well. And so we were able to partner with Korea and really trying to implement the community's vision for this affordable housing. And it will be part of a master plan approved community redevelopment. It will be part of, I think it's 1,150 total units, mixed use throughout. It'll be a very dense site. The rest of the site, our buildings will be 3 and 4 stories. The rest of the site will go all the way up to 8 stories.
Okay.
And so I think this is honestly like one of the unique occurrences in Nashville's history of affordable housing, where we can really provide a truly mixed income neighborhood and a mixed income redevelopment, and also an ability to, part of the CBA agreement was also to provide the legacy residents, the residents that had to move out of River Chase as part of the demolition, give them first opportunity to move back into the affordable units that we're creating.
This is the right picture?
Yep.
But that's radically different from what's there is now in the Google Maps, right? So, okay.
Yeah, there is.
Is there like a parking garage with it, or we don't do cars?
Not for our portion. We'll be surface parked. We will be, will probably be about anywhere from 0.8 parking spots per unit to 1, because we're on major corridor and Metro recently passed. I think actually we're not required to do any parking now because we're on a major corridor and in the urban services district. But yeah, so I think the 8 stories will have parking deck included, but not our affordable. But the unique thing too, I think, is we'll have community amenities, community gathering space. We're talking to a few nonprofits to provide supportive services in the space. And so we're trying to figure out how big that space will be, but it could be anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 square feet in the first floor. So I think that's a really exciting thing, is we'll have first floor nonprofit space dedicated. They'll have, potentially have full-time services or at least full-time staff there, along with the full-time property management team that will be on site. So unique opportunity to, push the envelope of how we're doing redevelopments.
Is the nonprofit space already solidified, or is that something that can get nixed down the road? Is that something you foresee?
It'll definitely happen. We're just trying to solidify our partners.
Okay. And so you guys have about close to 10% of the overall site plan, but your portion of it is affordable. The rest of it will not be affordable, or will?
So yeah, it's a little unique. I think, so they're required, the CBA they signed with ULMT required 200 total rent-restricted units. And so those rent restrictions are from 40% AMI to 120% of AMI. So the 80 to 120 is really like the workforce range. And so Korea, through their other, roughly 1,000 units, will do the other 60, 80 to 120% AMI units within their 1,000 units.
Gotcha.
So there will be some affordability or workforce component to theirs as well.
Do you foresee Holiday Ventures being a part of the other development, just this?
No. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so there are 1,000 units total. 140 will be between 40 and 80% AMI.
Yep.
And how many?
50.
I'm sorry.
1150 total.
1150 total.
Yeah.
Okay. How many residents previously were living at River Chase?
That is a good question. I know Korea has a list of all the residents. We've not been made privy to that yet, but I'm sure we could talk to Korea. I'm not sure exactly on that number, but honestly, I do know that the density, the low density nature of the community, I'm sure it's manageable within the 200 units. I'm sure they align the CBA to be within what the residents that currently live there or previously lived there.
Are you able to guarantee that everybody who is displaced will have that you will have units for everybody who was displaced?
Yeah, so the part of the CBA requires that basically all the legacy residents that are part of that list, they will have first access to all the affordable units.
Okay.
So yes, I think the goal is to give, as long as they are willing, able, and want to move back in, then they would have the first opportunity.
Okay. Well, and I'm a little unclear too on if they will be, if 40% AMI is something that they will be able to afford. I mean, have there been studies or analyses of that?
Honestly, we're still learning that. Like I said, we don't have access to their information of the residents.
Right.
But as we get more into it, we'll make sure. I think really I think the income levels ranged, but I think that was part of the CBA was they were trying to say, hey, let's hit every single income range here so we can provide for all the way to 40% AMI, all the way up to 80%. So wide income range, we're able to serve all the residents, all the legacy residents, as well as future residents.
Okay. I mean, I guess it's one thing if there are units that are available for the legacy residents, but it's another thing if those units are actually affordable to them, or if they're going to face rent increases based on what they were paying.
Right. Yeah, and I think, and again, I'm speculating here, but I would imagine that some of the families could also be holding vouchers, supportive housing vouchers or different types of vouchers that they could then take with them to a unit that we're providing. So that way, even if they could not pay the entire rent themselves, the voucher could cover whatever they would not be able to pay as a family.
Okay.
Is that a part of the support services that you're even thinking to with them of the knowledge of what to do, how to handle, go about that kind of thing too?
Right, exactly. Yeah, Korea I think has already started that, and they've been able to help place families, prior legacy resident, into new housing, and then I think we will be, now that we're part of the team, we'll be part of the discussion and implementation of helping families that ultimately get back into the development, into the community.
Sorry. No, go for it.
When you come back for final approval, if assuming that we move forward with preliminary approval, will you be able to have more answers on
Yeah.
the displaced residents and their ability to move back and their ability to afford the current units?
Yes, most definitely.
So I would caution though, Mr. Pulley, that if we approve now and he comes back, my understanding is lots of money gets spent between now and then, right? It's a non-trivial thing to undo at that point. I've heard that before. And I just say to all of my colleagues on the board, I'm not an expert in what the line is with gentrification versus renewal. And if any of you feel that it's not right, please let me know before we vote and I'll join you in a no.
You could also ask him to come back before final approval, just to give you an update, would be another option.
Yeah, we'd be happy to do that as well.
I think that's what I would be for.
Are you making a motion to that extent?
Yeah, so let's see if I can do this. So I'm in my second meeting, but, okay, motion for the borrower to return to the board and provide additional details on the ability for legacy residents to move back into the unit or the property.
At our next meeting?
At our next meeting, yeah.
Second.
And one thing I would like to point out, I think in the nature of the financing of this development, and part of the reason why we're coming to you today is a part of the way we finance affordable housing is dictated by the amount of tax credits we can get for a development. That's, tax credits and the bonds, tax-exempt bonds together make around 90% of how we ultimately pay for this. And so part of the reason we're coming to you today, we've really, we're about a month into this project, having just started working with CREA, but the reason we're coming to you very early on in the process is part of our tax credits, basically we would be potentially losing out on $5 million of credits.
My understanding of the motion, though, is that you're not proposing hanging up preliminary proposal on this. You're saying this is a prerequisite for final approval that he comes back.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. Well, disregard what I said.
We got you, though. I understand what you're saying. Okay, so we had a motion. You seconded.
No, that was the motion is to make the final come back. Yeah,
Correct. You seconded.
I did.
Okay, all right. So that motion, so we need to vote on that motion. So there is a motion on the table to align final approval with additional information about residents at the development. So at this time, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Well, to clarify, because I just want to make sure I understand. So basically, we would be requiring the borrower to come back 2 times. Once
Yeah.
to kind of give us an update,
Correct.
and then a second
And that
time.
would be an opportunity to put the kibosh if you're really upset about some aspect of the gentrification,
Right, okay.
Yes.
as I understand it.
Yeah.
You need a public hearing.
Yes, sure. So I just want to make sure we close out that vote. So all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay. Before we go to the public hearing, I did have one question. In terms of the square footage for the nonprofit, are you pricing it out per square foot based on what they can afford? What are you thinking about how you're going to price that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Really, our goal is to provide something, next to no cost.
Okay.
So something where ultimately the nonprofit can put that funding that they would have spent on a rental back into services.
So, and essentially an in-kind
Right.
contribution gives them space, but then they can then service residents.
Right, exactly.
Okay, or minimal cost. Okay. Anyone else have any questions? All right, so at this time, we'll open up a public hearing. Anyone here to speak for or against this development at Joseph Avenue Partners as presented? All right, seeing that no one is here to speak for or against, we'll close the public hearing, and I'll now accept motions to vote on preliminary approval.
Oh, I move.
Okay. Second, all right. So we probably move and seconded that Joseph Avenue Partners move forward with preliminary approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Thank you all.
Okay, so next up we have for preliminary approval, Sojourn Nolensville Apartments. Who do we have? All right.
Good afternoon. How are you all?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm Sam Weldon. On behalf of Blue Ridge Atlantic Development, I'm here today to talk to you about Sojourn Nolensville. It is located at 4608 and 4612 Nolensville Pike. It's going to be a 100% affordable housing development, 170 units, 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms. It is going to be a mixed income deal at 30%, 50s, 60s, and 80s AMI.
Okay.
We have a slew of amenities that we're implementing and plan to implement. A couple of those in our deals, we have computer centers, a leasing center, outdoor areas for tenants.
Okay.
And actually, we are working through with NDOT on redoing a WeGo transit corridor that's 200 yards from our site.
So there's currently transit, but just improving what's
That's
nearby.
right. The transit currently, as of right now, is a telephone pole, which is the sign on it.
Gotcha,
So we're
gotcha,
working
okay.
with them on that.
So what's currently at this site, or is it just bare?
Predominantly, it's vacant land. There is an old house on one part of it.
Okay.
It's been there, I've been told by the seller, for 30 years. And the rest is just vacant land.
Okay. So it looks like 10 buildings on this site, leasing office, 4-story buildings.
It'll be 3-4 splits.
Okay.
So it'll be, depending on the topo, it'll be 3-story walk-ups or 4 stories, depending on which way you're looking at it. We usually will design it with the topography. So there may be 4 stories in one building, but if you're looking at it from the front in the parking lot, it's 3 stories.
Gotcha. Have you all developed in Nashville before?
No, this is actually our first development in Nashville.
Why Nashville?
Because, obviously Nashville is a extremely competitive and attractive market. We've quite frankly been looking at potential sites in Nashville for a better half of 2 years, and have just not been able to find sort of what we are good at and what we like until we've been working on this since August, July. So we are extremely excited to be here. Yeah.
Good.
I'm always curious
Board
about
members have questions?
how do you sort of run this? This is a big complex, sort of remotely. How do you?
We will have on-site management, so we'll engage with a local group here. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we won't try and manage it.
Yeah, like I said, it's out in Nolensville, like in a different area too.
What's there now again?
It's predominantly just vacant land. And honestly, we're really have gone above and beyond to try and keep existing and new vegetation there. From the council lady's feedback, that's something they're really we're really honing in about. So we worked really hard to keep that.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? All right, so I'd like to open a public hearing for this project. Is there anyone here to speak for or against Sojourn Nolensville Apartments? All right, no one here to speak for or against. I'll close the public hearing, and I'll now accept the motion to vote on preliminary approval for this project.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Seconded.
All right. It's probably moved and seconded that we vote for preliminary approval for Sojourn Nolensville Apartments. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, next up we have TWG Whispering Oaks for preliminary approval.
Brian Knight, I'm with TWG. Just to keep myself on task. Slides I didn't know if we'd be able to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Brian Knight.
Is this the same, Cindy, as what we have, what was sent to us?
It is.
Okay, all right.
There's additional slides.
Oh, you added some?
Right.
Okay.
Just to tell a little bit about TWG, it's headquartered in Indianapolis. We were founded in 2007 and operate currently in 18 states with over 100 developments. The vast majority of those being LIHTC, and we have developed 11,000 units overall, with over $2 billion in construction costs overall. We're a full service deal. I mean, we do the development, construction, management, and handle compliance. So we do outsource some property management in certain parts of the country, but typically we handle our own management. The second second slide just shows the leadership and where you can find more information about our ownership group as well as myself. We're here to speak on Whispering Oaks, which is an existing 482-unit property just west of I-24 and north of Harding. It's a good location southeast of downtown and midtown. While most people are dealing with new construction, this is the acquisition or rehab project. It is qualified contract eligible, so there is a possibility of someone purchasing the property and taking it out of the affordable program.
After how many years? Or
After 15, so that's within the next year.
so meaning the 15-year window is almost up?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. The unit mix you can see on page 3. It's studios 1s, 2s, and 3s, primarily 1 and 2 bedroom units. It's historically operated at a high occupancy level. The income range for the tenants is from $28,000 to a max of $61,000 per household. Currently, it operates at 50 and 60% AMI rent levels, and that's what we keep it at. The LURA requires 10% of the units at 50%, and the remaining at 60. You'll see a summary of the community amenities and unit amenities as well. Just the brief reasons for acquisition is to improve the lives of families living in dilapidated conditions currently. This property was originally constructed in 1970 and placed in the LIHTC program in 2007, 2008. And so this offers us the opportunity and the tenants the opportunity to live in a rehabilitated project and extend the useful life of the project. It also extends the restricted affordability periods for another 15 years. We're also one of the funding sources for the project is Amazon. They're contributing $60,000 per unit, and they're more restrictive than what the LIHTC program would be. So the affordability period would be extended to 99 years with us using their funding. And typically, if there's market rate units, you can convert them to LIHTC and add new units to the affordability program, but that's not necessarily the case here. But it does avoid 482 units going market rate and taking those offline and essentially having to be replaced by new construction or other projects.
So you guys are going to primarily do work on internal units, or you're going to do rehab on the exterior as well?
So yeah, the internal, if you go to the next page, well, that still is describing the project, and has some pictures of the project currently, outdated kitchens and bathrooms, et cetera. So yeah, typically the rehab would be on, the bathrooms and kitchens, et cetera, replacing plumbing fixtures, kitchen fixtures, countertops, flooring, which we will do, but we'll also order a CNA. We actually already have ordered a property conditions needs assessment, and we'll repair anything that is a critical repair, at the property as well. If there are any structural issues or sewer issues or anything like that, then that is part of maintaining and improving the sanitary living conditions at that project.
So I can appreciate the thoughtfulness in having hotel units for those that are going to be displaced. Can you speak to maybe transportation support for those residents that are going to be housed in a hotel temporarily?
So, right, we call those hotel units. Essentially, we keep vacant units offline, and those will be the initial.
So not an actual hotel.
Right, those will be the initial units that are rehabbed. We'll furnish those units. We'll bring in pods so that the tenant can move all of their belongings into those pods on site. We'll offer packing materials as well as moving help. And then a lot of people say, well, we can get this done in a day and get them back in the unit, but we usually allow 3 to 4 days, but if it takes longer than that, it's not an issue. We want to be thorough with the rehabilitation instead of hasten it in order to.
Correct. So they essentially pack up, move out 3 to 4 days, and then you guys provide support for that, and then they move back in same unit. Okay.
So they move into the internal hotel unit. We rehab their unit. Right.
Gotcha.
And they go right back to where they were living.
Okay. What's the current occupancy
The current occupancy, there's currently 10 vacant units, but those are in process of being
Those are your
leased.
hotel
Yeah.
units? Oh, those,
No.
Those are going to be leased.
Yeah, when we go into the rehabilitation about probably 3 to 4 months in advance, as people move out, we'll hold those vacant
Okay.
in anticipation of the rehabilitation.
Okay. That makes sense.
This reminds me of my experience as a renter. I woke up one morning and I was on the basement, and there was slosh and there was sewage from the units above. And they said, we'll put you in a hotel. And there were roaches and anyway, I've learned a lot right out of college. So all I'm saying is treat these people nicely, please. I don't think we can control what hotel you put them in. But, and so I'm just trying to stack up the math in my head. So there's $30 million from Amazon, I think you said, 60,000 a unit. Okay, that's a fascinating number. And what do they get for that?
Well, they are investing in areas of the country to maintain or construct.
So the economic environment is, in sense, we can have people who actually work for us in the vicinity, but it's not like they're wanting an interest return or something like that. It's just they're handing money over.
It's
This is like their CSR for them,
Yes.
corporate
Yes.
social responsibility, from what I've read about.
Okay, this is how I'm just being.
No, I asked that question before after Evan got the Holiday Ventures got it, and I did some homework. And they're doing this in other markets that they have a big presence in.
Seattle and Northern Virginia primarily, in addition to Nashville.
That's a whole load of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Given that we just get, the council money. Okay, and so then there's $70 million here. That's $100 million, and so you're buying the place. That's a big chunk of it, and then there's some per unit renovation number. Do you have a rough idea of what?
Right.
That is?
Right now, it's $50,000 a unit.
So you're sort of buying it for $150,000 a unit, and then you're putting in $50,000 a unit. Okay.
It's a large project.
Yeah.
482 units is.
One last question I had. You talked about the window for affordability closing. Is it closing? Is it being extended in terms of when the property could be purchased and then listed as market rate?
So I know with the qualified contract process, after 15 years, you can purchase the property and contract out of the affordability program.
Okay.
The initial compliance period of 15 years, I don't believe you can take the units offline at that point in time, but it's coming up on the 15-year, in the extended use period, the 16 through 30, you can actually take it out of the program. And a lot of, cities, Atlanta, Nashville, Seattle, these places where rents are going through the roof, people buy these affordable properties and then QC them out of the program and raise the rents on these tenants, and it's
How
just
long
an
will
additional
this
burden.
unit be subjected to that affordability requirement? The project that you're developing, is the 15-year starting now? Is it coming up on the end of that?
Right.
15?
Currently, it's right in the year 14 range.
Okay.
We're within a year of getting to the end of year 15.
So what would prevent you all from selling it to the highest bidder at the end of next year? Do you have any interest in it being affordable for the long haul? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
The vast majority of the properties that we deal with are tax credit properties. We rehab properties across the country. There's two examples, Silver Oak in Atlanta, and then there's Nora Pines in Indianapolis that I have in this flyer as well. We're currently rehabbing projects in Cincinnati, Oklahoma City, Colorado Springs, Colorado. We've acquired those properties, received the tax credit award on the properties, and now they're toward the end of their construction period. But our interest is purchasing these properties to extend the affordability period.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's primarily the mission of our company.
But clearly
as well
for
as-
50,000 a unit, it's not going to be like a structural fix on this thing. You use the words dilapidated and built in the 70s. So
Sure.
they're just getting a carpet and a paint job, really, and a few appliances.
Well, no, whatever is included in the condition needs assessment as well, that's required as part of the rehabilitation, that we address those issues. If there are sewer problems at the property, we don't know that until we get in there and do the analysis. If there are structural issues with the building, then, we address.
So you're a bit blind too at this point.
Right.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
that's, then I'm also thinking about the same thing that we did with the other group that we talked about.
Holiday.
Holiday Ventures. But what is your interest? Why did you all, and I might have missed it, but why did you all choose Whispering Oaks as a project for Nashville? Was it just...
Well, we've been looking to get into the Nashville market in Tennessee for a long time. We've partnered with Amazon in projects out in Washington State, and we, talked to them, approached them about, Whispering Pines, and there's another project in Nashville too that we're looking at. But Nashville, short order, there's a lot. Affordable housing is necessary everywhere. There's a shortage everywhere. Not all municipalities realize it at the time, or welcoming to creating affordable housing. I think Davidson County is, and so that it just creates the environment in the market that we want to be in.
Gotcha. Okay. Anybody else have questions?
Does Amazon sort of monitor the progress of all this stuff in some level? What's their sort of, I'm sorry I know we got a lot to do today, but what's the governance? Do they must hang around and at least oversee the $30 million going into something?
Right. Yeah. We're in the initial stages with them now, but there are calls on a weekly basis as far as what we're doing with the money, what's the scope of rehabilitation, et cetera. They're definitely not a disinterested party.
From what I've gathered, they are pretty involved.
Okay, so that's kind of
there's a lot of reporting that comes with their money.
So they're going to want it to look good. Okay.
And there's a lot of developers that
a lot of folks turn their money away.
They don't want to deal with them. A lot of people don't.
And it's a 99-year affordability requirement if Amazon loans you money.
Oh,
That's the other piece, don't forget.
Okay.
All right.
It's a 99% affordability.
That's right. That's
One other restriction too is that on current tenants, as long as they don't move out, you have a restriction of raising rent 3% regardless of what maximum allowable rent is on an annual basis too. So it's more rent restrictive with Amazon funds tied to it than the LIHTC program requires as well.
So this is already maybe the amount that they've been paying, that they're the tenants that are already
yes,
there.
That's the rents, the current asking rents and the current tenant pays rents.
Okay.
So the tenant gets same rent but a better apartment.
Right.
A newer, more modern apartment. Okay.
Good way to summarize it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think we're all good. All right.
Thank you.
Anyone else have a question? Okay, so I'd like to open up a public hearing on this development. Is there anyone here to speak for or against TWG Whispering Oaks? All right, let's close the public hearing, and I'll now accept a motion to move forward with preliminary approval.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. It's been properly moved and seconded that we accept TWG Whispering Oaks for preliminary approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Those are all great questions. Okay, we now have, for preliminary approval, Samuel's Peak.
Hello. How's everyone?
How's it going?
My name is Brian Drobnik. I work for the Commonwealth Companies. We're based out of Wisconsin, but I am local to Nashville. Samuel's Peak is a rental townhome development in Bellevue. And if you know anything about that part of the county, Bellevue, Belmead, Forest Hills, there's not a lot of affordability there. It's an area that, in our industry we call area of opportunity, right? Employment, amenities, services, schools, etc. The problem that Bellevue's having, much like Nashville, is that anyone who works in certain industries, whether you're a first responder, whether you're a teacher, whether you're waiting tables or you're a cashier at Home Depot, you can't live anywhere near your job. And it's affecting quality of life there. It's affecting, I think, the character of the community itself. So we found this site is close to 40 acres in size. It's currently wooded, right, and forested ridgeline. The nature of the site is such that it lends to development along the ridgeline, but not along the slope. So we looked at it and we said, we're not going to do a lot of density here. We really can't. But the site itself is sort of its own greatest amenity. We have 40 acres of pretty much untouched land, so let's focus on how we disturb the least amount possible to create family homes, rental homes, that then have an aspect of conservation. So the balance of the site will be dedicated as a conservation easement. will never be developed. We'll have programming for the families that focus on water conservation on site. So we're going to attempt to reuse any and all gray water to keep it managed on site, or to reuse it if possible in toilets, things like that. We'll have educational components for the kids that focus on environmental stewardship. The name, incidentally, Samuel's Peak, there were these two men who had a partnership, and they were developing high-end single-family homes in this market. One of them, Paul Samuel, was a world-renowned explorer. He was British, and he was like, one of those people who would go disappear into Nepal for 3 months or whatever and come back, and he died in an avalanche. And his surviving partner, who's here, when I first met him, he began to tell the story, and was like, I didn't know this guy from Adam, and he broke down in front of me talking about his friend. And I said, well, look, this site, really, we can't do anything better with it than to keep a lot of it how it is and to emphasize the importance of that in our community. So we're going to name it after Paul. And his legacy is going to be these townhomes and these children who live here and go to the schools here. I'm seeking a partnership with the schools in Bellevue to actually create the programming for the site as sort of a gift to the new children coming in, who will then join them in the classroom. So it's 116 units. It's 36 two-bedrooms, 68 three-bedrooms, 12 four-bedrooms. In that market, there's almost nothing available. Certainly no four-bedrooms. We have close to a 35% rent advantage for everything in that PMA.
I know this area well, so I drive past it all the time. Can you give us an idea, maybe a visual of what the development is going to look like? Are we talking garden-style apartment housing?
No, these are townhomes, so almost like a single-family home, but smaller.
Gotcha.
Each home will have a single-car garage plus parking in the driveway.
Gotcha.
They'll be built in clusters of 6 and 10 units.
2-story, 3-story?
Well, some will be walkout into the hillside, so it'll be like a one-story little walkout, but others will be 2. It just depends on the particular topo.
All right, so rental townhomes,
Yes.
a mix of 2, 3, 4 bedrooms, up to 116 units. Okay. First development in the city?
Yes.
Gotcha. And where are you guys based again?
We're in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, okay.
I'm here.
Gotcha. Okay. You're based here?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anyone else have questions?
So I'm just doing my math thing again, just to understand. So 62 million, but I also heard 216 units.
100.
116.
116.
Okay, that falls my math problem. Sorry, can't listen. Got to listen. They'll be nice. Okay.
Is this development in a floodplain?
No.
Did it flood in 2010?
No, it's not anywhere close to the river. It's up on a hill.
The river's near, but this is kind of graded up. Yeah. This is now, when you're going down Sawyer Brown away from the shopping center, is it closer to the shopping center or closer to the private school that's out there?
I think it's a little bit closer to Nashville Christian Academy than it is like the.
Gotcha.
I'm at the Fordyce Center like 5 days a week because my kids play hockey. So.
Okay. Yeah, I live out there, so yeah. Okay. Any thoughts about doing maybe like greenway paths or anything? I mean, you got the property.
Yes, that's a question that's come up a lot. I'm trying to understand the insurance obligations, and it's not something we can necessarily open the site to the public.
Gotcha. Because it'll be private. Yeah. Okay, but the residents could take advantage of it.
Yeah. I should have mentioned too. So we are partnering with Living Development Concepts, which is a local nonprofit that has been developing affordable single-family homes for purchase for about 20 years in Nashville. And Henry Miller is executive director of LDC. I met him through the Urban League's RED Academy, the Real Estate Development Academy that Amazon's funded. And he and I got to talking, and his goal is to kind of expand his enterprise to do larger multifamily projects, but he does not have the experience of the bandwidth right now. So it's a partnership where we get local expertise on our team, and then he and his group then have the opportunity to use the experience and the fee from the deal to expand their operations.
Gotcha. So given the topography and the terrain, what's your construction timeline looking like?
We're probably 22 months.
22 months, so 2024.
Yeah, 25. Well, if we fund next year, close by end of year, it would be 25.
2025. Okay.
It's a little unusual that we have 116 units sort of in a townhome setting with an investment of $500,000 each. I mean, I'm just, again, thinking through, it'll be nice and everything, but I sort of, wouldn't most families able to get that far be in a purchase mode fundamentally? I don't think this has anything to do with the approval. I'm just, that's an interesting thing, right? I mean, you see it in New York City, right? Yeah, I pay $4,000 a month, but then I never have any aspirations to buy. It sort of falls in the cracks a little bit at this level.
Yeah.
Obviously, you must think that's going to go. That people are going to stay for some time, or you wouldn't be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because if you're a single parent school teacher, right, making about $50,000 in Metro, you're going to spend more than half of your gross income on housing and housing-related costs. And so when I say we have a 35% rent advantage, that makes these units affordable to that parent, to that household. They can't buy a house in Bellevue.
Yeah.
They can't rent an apartment in Bellevue.
Yeah.
And so you really think somebody could get into one of these for under a couple grand?
I think my max rent on my 4 bedrooms is like $1,300.
Okay.
1,300?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous to look at.
What's the square foot? What would the square footage be on a 4-bedroom unit?
Probably 1450.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really for the people just working class too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, these will probably go fast.
Thank you for taking the time with that. They're already sold.
They're already, yeah.
Careful, don't tell them that he's going to raise it.
It's gonna raise their price. A 4-bedroom at 1,300 in Bellevue will go quick. I can tell you that. Yeah.
Are you going to be able to preserve the trees that are in the area right now?
Yeah, so the way we disturb the site will be to follow the ridge line going up, but everything, falling away from the ridge line will be preserved and will never be touched.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Any other questions, y'all? No. Okay, so at this time, I'd like to open up a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak for or against Samuel's Peak? All right, seeing as there's no one here, we'll close the public hearing, and I'll now accept a motion for preliminary approval.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All right. So properly moved and seconded that we move forward with Samuel's Peak at preliminary approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Good luck. All right. Did we skip one? I didn't skip one. Okay. All right. Okay. That's cool. All right. So for final approval, we have before us today Vanderbilt University. Come on up.
I'm Brett Sweet, the CFO at Vanderbilt University, and you all have supported us over the years in our tax-exempt commercial paper and bond programs. Because of the interest rate environment for the past decade, we have not used tax-exempt paper, or we let our program lapse. You all approved one about a decade ago. We haven't used it in 4 or 5 years. So we're coming for you today to request approval of a new tax-exempt commercial paper program in an amount up to $300 million. This will be temporary financing and/or variable rate product financing for a series of projects within our $2.5 to $2.6 billion capital plan over the next 5 to 6 years, primarily comprising continuation to more residential colleges for our students, student housing, a science building, athletics facilities, and infrastructure around campus, and some real estate acquisitions potentially.
Gotcha. Is this a change from the preliminary approval, or is it?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. All right.
No change. This is to formalize it so we could have the plan in place going into the winter. We have projects, as you drive up and down West End, you probably see some of those, but the next phase of those will really be spending money next spring and summer.
Gotcha.
So we'd like to have this plan in place coming out of the winter to be able to lock in that project financing, much of which would probably make permanent, so to speak, through 30-year financing later.
What do you foresee taking up the bulk of the expense in terms of?
Most of this will be residential colleges, dorms,
Gotcha.
student housing. So first and foremost, it'll be student housing. What you see up and down West End, if you remember the old Carmichael Towers that were finished in 1969 and 1971, that's the first phase. The next phase is more towards Blakemore, where we have across from the rec center, we have housing that historically was, way back in the day was graduate student housing, now houses undergrads. It's from the early 70s. And then we're looking at building some incremental student housing on between campus and downtown, sort of midtown area, the old, like where IHOP shop was, and the Kentucky Fried Chicken, and the Nashville site, where you see student housing going up now. The parking lot between that and the law school, we're eyeing for more student housing.
Can you speak to you all's current situation in regard to student housing, knowing that most colleges across the country are dealing with some form of crisis around this?
Yes. So unlike most colleges and universities, we don't outsource housing to developers, and I'm talking undergraduate housing.
Sure.
We require that all of our undergraduates live on campus. We can't satisfy that right now. We have about 90, we could get to 90 or 95%, so our plan is to make it such that we can guarantee on-campus housing for all of our students. So where I think part of the challenge has come for particularly the big state flagships is they did P3 partnerships. They contributed the dirt, had developers come in and build these apartment communities, and there is what we call sort of a birth dearth hitting universities in the U.S. There's a demographic cliff coming that we've never seen ever in the United States. About 15% fewer high school kids will graduate beginning in 25. So there's a reckoning coming for most colleges and universities of a shrinkage in students who are even eligible to come. Okay. And so they've made these commitments to these P3 partners about these apartment communities, and enrollment is dropping.
Okay.
So that's where they're running into challenges.
Okay. Are you all expecting an enrollment decrease?
We are not. We have 50,000 applicants for 1,600 spots each year on the undergraduate side. We don't take it for granted, but it's not something we're losing sleep about.
Yeah, sure. It just went away that quick. Anyone else have a question?
But you do see, you're right. You see some of these housing developments that campuses are building that they built over the past decade that are in financial distress now.
Yeah.
We sort of have the opposite issue. We'd like to expand it even to graduate and professional students, because that's where we have that's our affordable housing crisis. Sure. If you're a PhD student, you get $30,000 a year, and you need to be in the lab, 16 hours a day. It's really hard to live an hour away. So that's the next phase of what we need to address. Our med school students, nursing school students, and particularly the PhD students, can't afford to live near campus.
Yeah, so that's for sure. Understood. So just to clarify, 100% of undergrads live on campus?
Not today.
Okay.
So we have some that live in the surrounding.
Well, meaning that's a requirement, but because of
we actually have that as a requirement now. So you have to petition the provost to get permission. So there are a handful of seniors, 500 or 600 seniors who live
off campus,
kind of right around campus.
Okay.
Obviously, that causes neighborhood issues as well.
For sure.
We prefer to have them on campus.
Yeah.
Their brains are still forming, and they sometimes make bad decisions.
Yes, understood. I stayed on campus my entire undergrad, so I get it. Yeah. All right. Anyone have a question? Any other questions?
At these junctures, I always recuse myself.
Yep, understandably.
Sure. It's a little bit of a problem today because of quorum, perhaps.
Once we establish a quorum, then it's okay. And we haven't established quorum.
How about that? So I was going to vote no, just to mix it up.
Still do that.
I can still do that? Okay.
But if
We'll
you-
see how I feel when you get there.
These are your students.
I know.
Oh, man. Do you have a question?
No.
All right. If you have a question?
I do not.
Okay. All right.
And to be clear, this is for the $300 million of tax-exempt commercial paper. We will presumably be coming back to you in the next couple of years for the broader, I'll call it traditional bond financing.
Sure.
And just on that point, to be clear, and Russ Miller's here from Bassberry, the public hearing includes this future borrowing, so they're asking for the $300,000 today.
Yeah.
But the public
$300 million.
hearing would be up to,
Up to, as part of a $900 million bond package. 300 would be a subset of that. That's $900 million of financing towards about $2.6 billion. So about 40% debt financing towards this. The rest would be cash and philanthropy.
Okay. Chris, were you going to ask a question?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. With no other questions of the board, at this time I'll open up a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak for or against Vanderbilt University? All right. Seeing that there's no one here, I will close the public hearing and now entertain a motion for final approval.
So moved.
Is there a second? All right. So properly moved and seconded that we consider Vanderbilt University for final approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? You recused? You recused, or is it a
Read the
no?
dash. I'm not going to do a no.
No, okay, all right,
It's the same result.
all right, thank you.
All right, we appreciate you all's support.
Okay, Cindy, so who do we have for the amendments?
Russ Miller with Bass.
Oh, okay,
is
okay,
here,
all right.
And he can explain
Sure,
this,
come on,
and then I
Russ.
can help with their questions.
Yeah, come on,
Yeah, sorry.
go for it.
So the proposed amendment is in connection with the interest rate index LIBOR is going away. You all may have heard about this. It's pretty big news, I guess, in the financial world. You all have variable rate bonds out there. You have fixed rate bonds out there. I'm not familiar with all of the bonds, certainly, that you have, but we have done some variable rate deals with you all, and those variable rate deals are typically based on an interest rate index. And so if you look at the interest rate for those variable rate deals, it'll be an index plus a credit spread, and that credit spread is based on the borrower's credit. And so, Vanderbilt might be one credit spread, another entity might be a totally different credit spread. But the index is sort of the important part. That's what makes the rate vary with the market. It's a way to tie your rate to the market. And so LIBOR, London Interbank financing rate, I can't remember exactly what it stands for. That's been traditionally the variable rate that banks have used over the last 20 or 30 years. And so your bonds that you have out there, their variable rate, are probably, I would guess, almost exclusively LIBOR based, because that's what almost all banks have used. The organization that operates LIBOR announced that they are going to cease publishing LIBOR in the middle of this year, in June 2023. And so that's been a big deal. The Federal Reserve has put together a committee to sort of help with this transition process, help to establish new indexes, find new indexes for borrowers and banks. The IRS for tax-exempt bonds has published rules and regulations that say, in connection with this cessation of LIBOR, if you do X, Y, and Z, your bonds won't be treated as reissued for tax purposes. To sort of say, everybody understands, I guess, that this is sort of a big transition that's happening in the market. Okay. And so the resolution that is here, I guess, would authorize the moving of your LIBOR bonds to a new index, and that index could be agreed upon by the borrower and the bank. The parameter, I guess, or the caveat is it wouldn't change the economics of the deal, essentially. Like they would lay a new index on there, adjust the credit spread or whatever they have to if the index doesn't lay right on top of LIBOR, so they end up in the same economic place. Okay. And that's basically the IRS rules are more or less that. If you change your bond deal but you don't impact the economics, the IRS doesn't treat it as a new bond, as though you've taken out the old bond and issued a new bond.
So if someone was issued a bond, let's just say Urban Flats $26 million, that math doesn't change. It's just the rate that it was based on might be different.
The interest rate might be based on might be different, and most everyone is trying to figure out a way to make the interest payments the same, because borrowers didn't cause this, banks didn't cause this. It's everybody wants this to continue to work, but the index is not going to exist anymore.
It's really fascinating, because if I'm a lender, I want it to be an index favorable to me, right? I mean, in some sense. I mean, this LIBOR thing, though, is such a huge standard.
Yeah.
And this is quite seismic in a funny way, right?
Unbelievable, yes.
Yeah, and so I'm still annoyed. I was born in England. The Brexit drives me absolutely. I bet this fallout from that.
It sure is. Sure.
Well, there was so just as more background, LIBOR is not technically a market rate. There's nobody is actually trading things based. LIBOR is not set based on actual trades. It's set based on this organization goes to major banks and say, what rate would you lend to another bank based on? They report something. I don't know, you all remember this. There was sort of a scandal about this 5-10 years ago, where there was some question as to whether the banks were reporting the correct rate or not, whether they were reporting rates they would actually lend on. And so that's what really caused a stir with LIBOR. And so the rates that are now being proposed to replace it are actual market rates. The primary one being, it's called SOFR, Secured Overnight Funding. And that's a rate that's based on what somebody would buy, or actually are buying overnight U.S. Treasuries for.
So if I bought a a $10 million bond in a housing thing, am I getting a letter that says, by the way, your variable rate based on LIBOR is changing? But, I mean, surely I have a say in that, right? Or is it just bad luck?
I honestly don't.
I'm trying to make sure that we're looking out for the people who've trusted us that these instruments are what they said they were in the first place, even though that's probably not our job and not what we're reaching.
Yeah. It's a good question. I don't know how many bonds you all might have outstanding that would be in the public market. Most of these deals that are LIBOR-based are bank-held bonds, and so there's really just one
Between the
holder.
bank and the borrower.
Yeah.
Okay.
The bank is the single bondholder
Okay.
where we see this.
You know, it's interesting because when I first joined the board, there were a lot of deals based on LIBOR. The past year or two, we haven't said much. Is that because?
Largely, yeah. I mean, another thing that's happened in the last few years is people have flipped from variable to fixed rate because the rates have been so low.
Oh, okay.
And so probably the number of LIBOR loans you had outstanding at one point was a lot, and it's a lot less now because people have refinanced into fixed rates over the last 5 or 10 years.
And some institutions have gotten ahead of this over the last year or so.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and so, a lot of amendments that you might have seen were probably somebody that the bank may have come to a borrower and said, hey, we're going to have to switch from LIBOR to something else. Why don't you just fix your rate right now? Or the borrower might say, we'd like to fix our rate, not stay in a variable.
Okay.
And we're just approving. We're not changing anybody's terms. Okay. We're just approving them to change their terms. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so yes, the next step in this process would be a borrower and a bank say this is going to be our new rate, and then we would come to get a new bond or a new amendment to the existing bond done.
So hypothetically, if we said no to this amendment, what happens to those deals that are based on LIBOR?
Yeah, good question. So there's not one thing, I guess, across all the deals. So some deals were done, say, in 2008, 2009 time period, when nobody really had an idea that LIBOR was going to go away. They might not really have much of a fallback in there. Any deals that have been done in the last 5 years or so, when there's been some rumblings about LIBOR going away, most banks have put some sort of fallback in there. Oftentimes they're not very good because nobody knew what the new indexes were going to be, and so sometimes it's like it's LIBOR now, but it'll flip to prime,
Gotcha.
Which is a much higher rate. Sometimes it's it flips to something else, and so it's just not what is in the documents. Most documents now is just not a very good replacement for what the economics are going to be, or will be, or should be, I guess.
Is there any way we can structure this so that they don't have to come back? That would be the other flip side. I mean,
I think what Russ is proposing in the resolution is that if you're agreeable to this, rather than have every single amendment that arises come back, authorize the chair to execute any necessary paperwork going forward. Otherwise, you're going to be meeting every week from now to June 30th.
yes. And so, I just kind of also feel I would like it subject to IRS guidelines as well as the satisfaction of the lender and the two parties. I mean, someone's upset about something and they want us to consider nixing a bond. I hate to cut them off.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we could. I mean, if they come back and we say no, then what mess is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for something that's already been developed. It was out there.
Just if you want to use, which I think is totally fine, if you want to use IRS guidelines as something, that would be, the IRS sort of allows a little bit of a cushion, so it's basically a 25 basis point change isn't considered a big enough change for the IRS to consider a reissuance. That's if you want to have that as a parameter, I guess that's possible.
Yeah, I'm for that. I'm definitely for that. Would this have to be rewritten to reflect that, this amendment as states?
I would say you could vote on it, and we could revise it in the.
Okay.
Maybe Cindy, you could revise it based on whatever you all.
The motion could be subject to that, and we can reflect it in the board's records in the minutes. Is another option.
Yeah.
I like that. All right, so we will vote on this amendment as is, also considering attaching the IRS guidelines to the amendment.
Subject to mention of being subjunctive to, what did you say, subordinate to IRS guidelines.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. motion for approval.
Oh, yes, I'm going to move this one.
Okay. Second. Anybody second? All right. So properly moved and seconded that we approve the amendment for the LIBOR index change. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Did the deals come back through us? Did we get any paperwork, or it just happens out there?
It sounds like I
There'll be paperwork to implement it as these deals bubble up. We'll probably see a lot more as it gets closer to
Okay,
that
those will go in our packets.
termination
Okay,
date.
yeah, all right,
Yes.
okay.
So I have more stuff to sign. Is that what we're here?
Yes.
That's good. Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you. Thank you, Russ. Thank you. All right, we have information items. Report on debt obligation. That's in our packet here, Cindy?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, there've been 2 since the last meeting
Okay.
closed.
Which are already approved deals, right?
Yes, and they've been approved and closed, and then we file the reports with the state.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, Mary Quinn of Angels was the White Bridge Road development, right? Okay. Stonebridge Crossings, which one was that?
That was Evans Development
Evans
up in
Development.
Goodlettsville,
Okay.
which also had Amazon funding, by the way.
Yeah, I remember him saying that. Okay. Okay. So old business. So we have the discussion of board legal representation, and Chris, you did note the comment on that at the beginning of the meeting, and I'm going to suggest that we have that at the top of our meeting agenda for our next meeting, which I assume may be in January or February. Do we know yet?
We don't have any other pending requests
you
right
won't
now.
meet
It's the
again this
holiday
year, right?
season, so
And Ms. Clinkscale was very clear that it's a holiday season, and she didn't want to spend 4 hours on it. And so I did have a discussion today with Josh Thomas. He was unable to come today. I kind of should have talked to him.
Was he the attorney?
He's the attorney, right.
Last time? Okay.
And what I've tried to come up with is a motion that would allow this to move forward, but also allow us to back out a million different ways if we don't care, okay? And if other people have other ideas, I don't mean to be monopolizing the conversation, but I'm happy to just hand out this motion, see what we think. If it goes, great. If not, great too. Does that sound okay? But let me hand it out in writing. That way we kind of... a very interesting thing. So I'm in talking to Josh. He worked with the Industrial Development Board to find their counsel. And fascinating. I had the idea. Well, and they had a little committee, and the committee came up with the document I distributed last time. Remember this request for qualifications, and also that same committee went on, and after the Industrial Board said great, they went on to go, look what the world looked like and kind of review the legal counsel. So it was the same group. And I said, well, we've got a lawyer on our board. We've got Dr. Day, Ms. Clinkscale, and he said, well, the thing about that is that if we have more than one person from our board on this committee, if we do a committee, then naturally the open law for meeting law applies. And so what they did industrial development was just have the chair from our group.
So then it's technically not a board meeting.
And then it's not a board meeting, and so you can work with Josh, and then you guys could recruit some other people from developers, but that would be up to you to have a working group. They had 4 in total, okay? And so with all of that in mind, my idea for today in this motion is to say, this is a motion, I'll just kind of read through it casually. A motion to explore development of an every 5-year review process of bond counseling and advisement services firm of the HEF Board. That's what we have. And the text of the motion, whereas the HEF Board wishes to explore a periodic review process for its bond counseling and advisement firm, the HEF Board today appoints Chair Dr. Isaac Aday to work with Joshua Thomas or other attorney at Metro Legal to recruit 2 to 4 citizens to join them in forming a review committee candidate slate of 4 to 6 people. Dr. Aday will present the slate at, ideally, the next HEF Board meeting. If the candidate slate is approved by the HEF Board, the review committee shall have 2 main tasks. So are we okay so far? It's kind of, I think we can, this is the little step we can take to keep it moving. And then if you go recruit, if this works and you recruit the committee, you're going to have to tell them what they're going to do. And so my initial guess, subject to change, is these 2 things. The first thing they're going to do is to develop a request for qualifications document and bring it back. And I'll read it specifically. So the approved review committee's first task will be to develop for the HEF board a request for qualifications, perhaps roughly modeled after the Industrial Development Board document, and to submit that document, clearly dated in marked draft, to the HEF board for its final consideration and approval, ideally within 2 months of the approval of the slate. So you would appear with this thing. Task 2. If the HEF board both approves the RFQ document and votes to solicit responses from the world, the review committee shall advertise the RFQ document, discreetly review responses from candidate law firms, and make a non-binding recommendation to the HEF board. The HEF board's acceptance or rejection of the review committee's recommendation will complete the 5-year review process. So you can see there, we could say we don't care about the document, we don't care about continuing. You can get a recommendation back and say, forget it. There's lots of ways out of this thing.
Right.
And then finally, in emphasis, nothing in this motion authorizes the review committee to advertise or distribute a request for qualification until the HEF board both approves the RFQ and explicitly votes to publish it. So that's another stopgap. And nothing in the RFQ will commit the HEF board to choosing a firm from any of the respondents. And indeed, in this request for qualifications from the industrial board, there's beautiful language in it at the end. We sent you this, tell us what you might want to do for us, but we may not even be hiring anyone. So it's way open. We're all the way through to the end.
Yeah, I think this is good.
So, Chris, why do we need the review committee to draft the RFQ?
So my imagination was too small. A couple things. So it's wonderful to have an attorney on the board. So
And I'm not volunteering to draft.
yeah. So when I talked to Josh, I think this is even before you hopped on. He said they developed this was what they did.
Right.
So they have this RFQ, and these exist all over the place, and I'm sure it's boilerplatey and what have you. My read of this document is it's not really a request for it's very open-ended. It says, tell us what you might do for us if we might want something.
Right.
And the process is it's going to be difficult if we are interested in making a change. It's difficult to have that under the glare of the camera. And so this process of having a sort of semi-autonomous group go and pull together this thing to be mailed out, which is a formal thing, sort of made sense to me. But if there's another way to do it, I was nervous. I guess we could go on camera and have a week-long retreat and come up with some text, but that didn't feel too. Yeah.
So didn't, if I'm remembering correctly, it was a month ago, but I have slept since then, but didn't Joshua also talk about how we would need to enter into, I guess what is called an intergovernmental agreement?
I'd forgotten about that, so that could be.
Okay. So if we were to move forward with this, Josh is an attorney for Metro Legal, right? He doesn't have, and we're not a part of Metro government,
right?
So if we were to move forward with this, I think we would have to have some sort of agreement with Metro Legal. Is that, Cindy? Is that correct?
I would think so. Josh has a different client, which is not you.
Right.
If that's what you're asking.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're not Josh's client.
Right.
Yeah.
So it seems like, and I could be wrong about this, but it seems like the only way we can move forward with this is to first have that agreement
With the legal representation.
Yeah, that intergovernmental alliance. And then I might be calling it the wrong term. But
Is there agreement text that you can, give us in 3 sentences? What do we need? What is the hurdle there legally?
Well, I think we could almost just kind of use the one that he currently has with the Industrial Review Board, because they have that same thing, right? And the Industrial Review Board is not a part of Metro government. Am I correct about that?
He mentioned that particular board provides certain services to the IDB. The city provides certain services. And so it's a little bit of a different arrangement, but it's an intergovernmental agreement between the board and Metro.
Okay.
I hear you. Would you be comfortable if we amended this motion to ask our chair to return with an intergovernmental agreement to approve?
Yeah, I just don't think Josh. Yeah, I guess my issue is I don't think Josh can. And just based on what he said a month ago, I don't think he can do any work for us until we have entered into that agreement.
So we can make a motion to state our intent to enter an agreement with Metro. I'm just trying to keep it moving a little faster than, I mean, if that's the only thing we can deliver at our next meeting is that we've got a letter of intent and then we sign it, that feels like breaks.
Right.
Big time. But to me, but if you could find language you're comfortable with to say, subject to an intergovernmental agreement to be returned to us for our approval and worked out with Dr. Aday and Josh in this time, I'm A-okay with that. That's great progress.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I guess that's fine with me. I guess what I'm curious about is if Josh can do anything at all until he has that agreement. If Metro Legal will even let him do anything at all until we have that agreement in place.
If he can't do anything at all, then Dr. Day will come back and say, I couldn't do it. Josh couldn't do anything until we had that. And so that's, when I spoke to him today, he said, I'm happy to help you folks, but it's subject to my boss signing off. But he said, I'm sure he will. It's one of those things, and I don't want to put words in Josh's mouth, right, at all. That's not my thing here. So I think the potential is, I think you're absolutely right, that there could be a wall like that, and the sooner we hit it, the better.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm very happy if it helps this at all to amend this thing to ask that a intergovernmental agreement draft be returned to us to vote on potentially next time. I don't know how to invent the text on that. I lack the skill set. I mean, as you say, maybe it's wrong to have them come up with it. Maybe we should author it.
Right. I'm just, I don't necessarily think we need to reinvent the wheel if they have an agreement. I mean, and I'm sure Metro has other intergovernmental alliance agreements that they can recycle. I don't know what that agreement should. I can't come up with the text of that agreement, but I think we can use an agreement that they currently are using. I don't know why we couldn't.
So basically, the way that the motion is written, it would be contingent upon an agreement in place before we move forward with the other things that are recommended.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I think I misunderstood.
I think it would be in order if we, as you're an attorney, to maybe before we even get to, we could still do this motion, but we could do an initial motion and say that Mr. Pulley Esquire will, be, if you don't mind taking on the task of reaching out to Josh and pulling together a draft agreement that, we can vote on next time. And then, but I still think there's the avenue to go ahead and just find a couple of names. Again, they're not doing any work in my motion. They're just finding some names, which is, yes, admittedly is a little work, but then we can keep going. Next time we'll have an agreement to sign off on, which is beautiful, and potentially a slate.
Right. Okay. I mean, I guess all I would say is before the review committee moves on to
absolutely
task one.
Yeah.
The HEFB enter into an intergovernmental alliance with Metro government.
Okay. Sure.
So do you have any feedback on the best way to? Is that the best way to kind of word that legally?
I think that's right. I think that's what I'm understanding. That's step one.
Okay.
So everything else that follows is subject to what you're suggesting.
Right.
So we could, so I could accept the motion for approve. I'm sorry. I could accept a second for this motion, but the motion is amended to suggest that the committee doesn't move forward prior to an intergovernmental agreement being put in place.
Right.
I love it.
Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And then it's we decide who's going to go fetch that agreement.
Right.
Will it be you working with Josh? That's fine. Or
I don't mind.
And we'll sign off on that. So
Yeah, I don't mind working with Josh. And if you want, we can tag team it if you want. All right, so there's a motion out there. Is there a second?
second. Well, maybe I made the motion.
Sorry.
You can't. I can't
made
make
the motion.
Yes.
Second.
All right, so it's properly moved and seconded that we move forward with the 5-year review process for bond counsel for the HEF board, contingent upon an intergovernmental agreement being signed with Metro.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Okay.
Copy of that.
All right. You get all that, Cindy? You got the ayes and nays? Okay, all right.
I got it.
Okay, thank you, Chris, for that motion. And, okay, yeah, I guess we're good here. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Before that motion happens, while we're still in session, so around the nay, I'd welcome your sort of reflection on.
Oh, I think it's just more, I needed more time to kind of put my mind around it, and I also want to make sure, like, with this entire process, I would love to see all of the members here as well.
Sure.
So that everybody can kind of have.
Thank you for sharing that. Great, okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I'll say too, Chris, you mentioned something last week or last month about, you said something like, board members cycle off the board, and, law firms, also could cycle off the board. I guess what I would say too, and this doesn't affect the motion, obviously, we just voted on it, but I think, Adams and Reese should be able to bid too.
Yeah, no,
if you also chose.
I don't even know if bid is the right word.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there anything else? Okay, I think we're good here.
Adjourn we are.
Yeah, I was going to ask for a motion to adjourn. Do I need a motion to adjourn?
You're the chair. You have the
Okay.
power to adjourn.
We adjourn. We adjourn.
Turn off.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Isaac, turn off.
Thanks.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.